Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Steve. Thank you again for holding this forum. It's great. My name is Mark Zaccaria. I am running for Congress here in the 2nd District of Rhode Island, and I'm running because I got scared. I looked at what's been happening to my country in less than a year and seen the deficits that I was horrified at when they were billions become trillions in 10 months. But I didn't stay scared. I got mad. I got mad, and then I got committed and decided to do something about it. That's why I'm running to be your representative in Congress. Because as a businessman for 30 years, as a person who knows his way around a balance sheet and has had to work with finite budgets, budgets that have to be funded and then have to come out even or else, I know that that's what our government needs to do. Now, I am a small businessman here in Rhode Island. I run a consulting firm out of my home in North Kingstown. I am a former elected member of the North Kingstown Town Council, where I'm proud to have been associated with 3 budgets in the black in North Kingstown and the absolute minimum tax increase during that time. I have a background in the U.S. Air Force. When I first got out of college, I spent some time with big corporations as a corporate nomad. I think I'm a person whose experience delivers him to this place ready to serve. Now, I hear a lot of talk about Republicans versus Democrats versus Libertarians versus the Green, the Cool Moose, the Moderate Party. I don't think any of those labels help us out. I think it all boils down to Red Sox versus Yankees and my team versus your team, and all of a sudden we get distracted by that. I think instead we have to understand that there are only 2 ways to govern. There are only 2 teams to play for in Congress. One is the team that thinks that government ought to be bigger because its institutional bulk can somehow reach into each of our lives and do something beneficial. I don't know that the fishing community agrees with that, but there are a lot of people down there that do. I play for the other team. I play for the team that says we must have smaller government. And it must be smaller because it costs less. And that's not just so that I can become a hero and say I lowered your taxes. It's so that more of your money can stay in your pocket where you get to vote with it. Now, there's a downside risk to smaller government. It can't do as much. Well, I don't know. I guess I don't think that's as big a risk. I think it's good for people to have to do a few things for themselves. I think they feel better when they make their own accomplishments. And I think you should be afraid, like I was, at what's been going on in Washington. And right after you get afraid, I think you should get mad. And then I think you should be committed. And as Steve says at the outset, find somebody who you can get behind, who's going to be your voice in the Congress of the United States, and support that person. You got a chance to look at 3 of us here tonight. There's an empty slot over there, sorry, but we couldn't all make it. The fact of the matter is that you own the government. It's not owned by anybody in Washington. And you have to decide what you want your government to be. I'm presenting myself as someone who I hope you'll agree with, who has shared experiences with you, who's done all the things that you have done, and therefore can be that effective voice. Please keep me in mind, not just tonight, but as the next 9 months unfold and we go to Election Day in 2000, because, folks, I don't want to put too fine a point on it, but if we don't fix this thing in 2010, I'm not entirely sure how many more chances we're going to have. I'm Mark Zaccaria. Please remember me for the 2nd Congressional District here in Rhode Island. Thank you. Thanks. Sounds like the Race to the Top program has $6 billion worth of taxpayer money in it. Every time I hear about a rebate of taxpayer money, it goes right up my left nostril because, you know what, that was your money. And then they took it to give it back to you. Well, listen, let's go on to the debate on what is improperly known as the health care debate. Everyone calls it the health care debate. It's not about care. We've got universal care in this country today. Anybody who goes to an emergency room gets treated. You may not love it, but you get treated. You may not be able to pay for it in your lifetime, and you know what? Those unaccountable costs get paid for by us. So the issue that's before Congress today is about health care insurance and how to pay for those things. And so what we have is an 1,100-page bill, which is the biggest trough full of pork that anybody has ever seen or heard of. It doesn't contain adequate controls on drug costs because the pharma industry was in there from the get. Okay? Look it, we changed our health care delivery method in the late 40s and the early 50s. That was when it became commonplace for employers to do that. They did it because it was in their best financial interests to have and hold well-trained and capable employees. It was a function of the free market. We should look to the free market to function this way again. Look, let's just put it on one small basis. A couple of months ago, we had the Cash for Clunkers program, right?
How'd that work out?
Average size check was $4,000. The cost per car that was subsidized was $24,000. It cost the federal government 20 grand to write a $4,000 check. Folks, I don't want them anywhere near my health insurance. I'm sorry. The whole thing has got to just go away. And it's one of the things we're going to get with smaller government. And people say, well, you can't pull the rug out from under people right away. Some of us attempted to give it a try. My own experience is in making budgets, not spending money that I don't have, because the floor would fall out from under me if I ever did. I mean, if the first realization that you have that there's a problem is that when you flick the light switch on and the lights don't come on, well, then you've waited far too long to exert management control over things. And that's the world that I have grown up in. I think that government can once again come back to that world. I think that we've let them go to another planet. And I think that we should get our government back because it is not sustainable. The single biggest problem that we have right now is the impending implosion of the value of our money. Unless we fix that, nothing else matters. And that is a problem for somebody with some Scots blood that knows how to save a nickel now and again. And that's where I come from. And so that is the experience that will inform me if I am your representative in the next term.